If I asked you to calculate the total amount of money you have earned since you started earning money, the sum might be in the hundreds of thousands to even a million. Then how come you are still struggling to make ends meet? If you earn $10,000 a month and spend the $10,000, you will never amass wealth, let alone be financially stable. Worst yet, if you make $10,000 a month and spend $10,500, you will always be broke and will never get out of the financial hole you have dug for yourself. Do you know why this is? The answer lies in the reality that just earning money is not enough. What truly counts is how much of that income you keep and how effectively you manage it. But how exactly do you do that? Well, by the end of this video, you will understand the 20 indispensable rules of money. Rules that, if mastered, will propel you toward financial freedom and abundance. But if you are not serious to change your circumstance in life, then feel free to click off this video. If you are still here, then let's get started. The number one rule in our estimation is to diversify your income. Let's say you're a software engineer. While you may have a stable job and good income, if something happens to your company or your position, you could be left in a tough spot. By having side gigs, investments, or other income sources, you're not only boosting your earning potential but also safeguarding against financial catastrophe. Think of it as not putting all your eggs in one basket. At number 2 comes the rule of money movement. You've heard of the phrase, money makes the world go round, right? That's because it's always moving, from one person to another, from one investment to another. The key to wealth accumulation lies in understanding how to ensure more money comes in than goes out. For example, cutting down on unnecessary expenses like premium cable packages or luxury items can free up money for saving or investing. Take a look at your monthly subscriptions. Perhaps you're subscribed to multiple music and video streaming services. Cutting down to just one or two can free up a surprising amount of money that you could put into an interest-bearing savings account or investment. Coming in at number 3 is staying informed about your politicians. In 2008, we saw how political decisions and financial regulations can cause financial crisis. Therefore, it's crucial to stay abreast of your politicians' fiscal propositions and understand how these could affect your personal financial situation. For instance, changes in tax laws or trade policies can significantly affect your investments and net income. For example, in 2017, US President Donald Trump signed a tax overhaul into law that reduced the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. This affected the stock market and could have affected your investments. Rule 4 is all about controlling your debts. Debts are like chains that keep you from moving forward. Credit card debts can carry high interest rates that can compound over time, turning a small debt into a large one. Therefore, always strive to pay off your debts as quickly as possible and avoid unnecessary debts at all costs. For example, if you owe $5,000 on a credit card with an 18% interest rate and you only make the minimum payment, it could take you over 15 years to pay off this debt. At 5, we have an interesting rule: money is a game. If you've ever played Monopoly, you'll understand this. The more you play, the better you get. Similarly, the more you understand the rules of money, the higher your chances of winning. Understanding how interest rates affect your savings can help you decide when and where to save or invest. For example, knowing when your bank compounds interest could lead you to deposit money sooner, giving you a bit more return on your savings. Rule number 6 is to invest time before investing money. Many have jumped into investments without fully understanding them, only to lose their hard-earned money. Before investing in a certain stock, study the company's performance, its competitors, market conditions, and so on. Your time investment could save you from a potential financial loss. For instance, imagine you hear about a trendy new tech startup. Before buying shares, you would want to read about the company, look at the founder's track records, see who else is investing, and understand the market they're entering. 7. Remember, knowledge is power. Just as a surgeon needs to understand human anatomy to perform a successful operation, understanding economics, investing, and personal finance is essential to make wise financial decisions. For example, by understanding how the stock market works, you can make more informed investment decisions. A real estate investor needs to understand property values, how mortgages work, tax laws, and more to successfully buy and sell properties. 8. Keep your wealth a secret. Flaunting your wealth can invite unwanted attention, envy, or even worse, theft or fraud. Instead of buying that flashy sports car, why not invest in an income-generating asset like real estate? 9th rule to remember: money does not rectify insecurities. If you think a shiny new car or a bigger house will win you acceptance or admiration, you're mistaken. Instead, focus on improving yourself. For example, instead of spending $20,000 on a Rolex to impress people, you could put that money toward a public speaking course or personal trainer, which could do more to improve your confidence. The 10th rule: money is a game of life. Remember, regardless of how much you save or how judiciously you invest, there's always more to gain and lose. However, with the right mindset, dealing with money can actually be enjoyable. Consider the stock market. It's essentially a huge, complex game where the stakes are your money. The better you understand the rules, how to read company financials, market trends, and economic indicators, the better your chances of winning. Rule 11 is to surround yourself with those who are financially successful. Consider joining financial clubs, attending seminars, or even following financially savvy individuals on social media. You'd be surprised how much you can learn by observing and interacting with those who've achieved financial success. For example, by befriending a group of real estate investors, you could learn about strategies, pitfalls, and opportunities that you might not find in a book. The 12th rule is that the greatest wealth creation often happens during crisis. Economic downturns can present unique buying opportunities. For instance, during the housing market crash in 2008, savvy investors were able to buy properties at steep discounts that appreciated significantly in value over the following decade. 13th, keep in mind that as you age, your expenses tend to increase. Recognizing this can help you plan better and make more informed financial decisions. As an example, healthcare costs are often minimal for young people, but can skyrocket in retirement. By planning ahead, you can ensure you're financially prepared for increased costs in your golden years. 14th, remember that money does not equate to happiness. You might have heard about multimillionaires or lottery winners who, despite their wealth, are not happy. That's because happiness comes from within and depends on factors like personal relationships, health, and a sense of purpose. For example, billionaire Howard Hughes was one of the richest people in the world, but he suffered from severe mental health issues and lived a reclusive, unhappy life. Rule 15. Money is a tool, not a goal. Consider money as a tool that can provide you with the means to live a fulfilling and comfortable life. For instance, instead of focusing on accumulating wealth, focus on how that wealth can help you achieve your life goals, such as providing a good education for your children or traveling the world. Think of money as a means to an end. If your goal is to travel the world, you don't need to be a billionaire. You just need enough to cover your travel expenses. 16th, remember that money can't buy time. If you're always working and not spending time with your family, you might have more money, but you're missing out on precious family time. So use your money wisely to save time and invest that time in things you love. Consider this: if you're working 80 hours a week to earn a high salary, but you never have time to see your family or pursue your passions, are you really better off? 17th, money can amplify your character. If you're kind and generous, having more money will simply enable you to be more kind and generous. Conversely, if you're selfish or arrogant, wealth is likely to magnify those traits. For instance, if you're a generous person, having more money means you can give more to charity or help out friends and family. On the other hand, if you're stingy or cruel, having more money might just make those traits more prominent. 18th rule is to keep an eye on your money, regularly reviewing your financial statements, checking your investment performance, and tracking your expenses can give you a clear picture of where you stand financially and what you can do to improve. Regularly reviewing your credit card statements, for instance, could help you spot fraud, avoid late fees, and keep track of your spending. The 19th rule is about patience. Wealth is often built slowly. Like a sapling growing into a mighty oak, wealth accumulation takes time and consistent effort. Quick schemes often promise instant wealth but rarely deliver. Consider Warren Buffett. He's one of the richest people in the world, but he didn't make his first billion until he was 56. His wealth is the result of decades of patience and smart investing. And finally, the 20th rule of money is to live below your means. This doesn't mean living a life of deprivation. Instead, it's about making smart choices about spending and saving. It's better to enjoy a sustainable lifestyle you can afford rather than a luxurious one fueled by debts. Instead of buying a large, expensive house that stretches your budget, you could buy a more modest home and put the savings toward retirement or investments. And there you have it, the 20 indispensable rules of money. Remember, understanding these rules is just the first step. Implementing them is what will truly drive you toward financial success. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep hustling and stay savvy.